Hi everyone, it's John from What Up, and welcome back to another video. And today we had a special treat from the Twiiter of Chaos. Yes, the official Wheel of Time Twitter account did drop a new poster for Season 2 today, completely unprompted. I know it was Wheel of Time Wednesday, but I don't think anyone was expecting anything because WoTCon is this weekend and San Diego Comic-Con is the following weekend. And we're probably getting reveals. Well, we know we're getting reveals for sure at San Diego Comic-Con, and we're probably getting some stuff at WoTCon as well. At least we hope so. So today was an unexpected treat. So today we're going to talk just a bit about the poster and the Easter eggs and how it compares to last year's poster, which wasn't that great. So if you're new to the channel, you don't know what we do here. We cover Wheel of Time show news, pretty much anything and everything about the Wheel of Time. That's what we talk about here. If you like that sort of thing, make sure you subscribe. We're getting very close to 20,000 subscribers, and I kind of want to hit that goal prior to Season 2 coming out, and that comes out September 1st of this year. So if you watch my videos but you haven't already subscribed, help us out here at What Up and subscribe to the video. Now, before I actually jump into the video, I am going to give a bit of a spoiler warning because we're going to go through all of the Easter eggs in this particular poster, and there are a lot of them, and they all have to do with certain things that are going to happen within Season 2 or things that happen in the first few books. So, spoiler warning, if you have not watched the first season of Sony and Amazon's Wheel of Time show on Prime Video, that's episodes 1 through 8, or read the first 4 books, yes, 4 books, that's The Eye of the World, The Great Hunt, The Dragon Reborn, and The Shadow Rising by Robert Jordan, be forewarned, I may ruin minor character arcs and minor plot points from both of those mediums. Alright, that being said, let's get on to the rest of the video. Alright, so I want to clarify something I said in the intro, because I went back and watched it a second ago, and I don't think I was super clear, because I said, I hope we get something at WoTCon, and that hope is completely based upon what we got last year. So if you don't know what WoTCon is, if you're new to the fandom or the channel, WoTCon is a Wheel of Time convention made by fans for fans. It's incredibly cool. I really wish I could make it there one year. I'm not able to go this year, but the very first year of WoTCon was last year, and it was a smash success. This year's even bigger and better, and they have online tickets, and I've left a link to those online tickets down below in the description box. That is this weekend. WoTCon is this weekend, so if you folks can't attend and you'd like to see all kinds of cool panels made by fans for fans with a bunch of special guests and cool stuff, the tickets are there. Now, they did show a couple of clips last year, I believe on Sunday, and these were unreleased clips from Season 1, so the hope is that they'll show something this year as well. I don't think it'll be anything absolutely massive. I think they'll save all of that for San Diego Comic-Con if they do it. And why am I saying if? At this point, a lot of you folks are going, John, we know they're going to be at San Diego Comic-Con. There was a release. We talked about this before. We know they're going to show up. I want to remind you folks that the SAG contract expires tonight, July 12th, Wednesday at midnight Pacific time, and if a deal isn't reached by then, and they're currently at the negotiating table as I'm recording this, then they will likely go on strike because they've already overwhelmingly voted in favor of it. If they go on strike, that means some members of the Wheel of Time cast cannot attend San Diego Comic-Con, and it'll likely change drastically what they're going to showcase there. Now, there's no doubt in my mind we'll get a trailer, but it may impact panels and who's there and which cast members show up, things like that. So we'll know a little bit more probably later this week or early next week. But let's all really hope they come to a deal tonight and there is no strike, because it puts certain things in danger in the Wheel of Time fandom. And I know that sounds really selfish. I want the actors to get exactly everything they deserve. And I want the Writers Guild, of course, to get everything they deserve. But I also want to see my Wheel of Time. So I hope they get a good deal, and I hope it happens soon. All right, so before we get into all the Easter eggs of this particular poster, and there are a lot of them, and we're going to go through them here in a second, I want to remind you folks of what we got last year, 2 years ago rather, for Season 1's poster. Now, I've seen some complaints online that this poster looked not so great. People will complain about anything, and it's all a matter of taste. I think this poster looks absolutely amazing, and it is on par and in line with current marketing campaigns for a lot of big blockbuster movies and series, especially Marvel stuff. I think it looks leaps and bounds better ahead of what we got for Season 1, and that's what we got for Season 1. Now that you folks can see and remember what we got for Season 1, maybe you can appreciate this just a little bit better. Season 1 was muddy, kind of out of focus, not that great. It was a terrible poster. It really was, and I criticized it heavily here. The channel made fun of it quite a bit. I didn't like it at all. Season 2 poster, a heck of a lot better, in my opinion. But that's just me. All right, so let's take a look at some of the little tidbits in this particular poster, and by no means will I get them all. I'm sure I'll miss some things, so if I miss anything, please point them out in the comments down below, and if you happen to catch a couple of things I missed, I'll pin the comments so other people can see it, because I want to try to get through everything in this particular poster, and I think there's a lot to see here. So the first thing I want to bring your attention to is this. Now, this is Perrin. So it's his lower left, or lower right side, I guess, as he's standing there. You see a little tiny black square or black box there. We are 90% certain that this is a hammer. Now, the struggle between the use of the hammer and the axe is a long-running story within the Wheel of Time for Perrin. It starts pretty early on in the books and carries through far into the end game of the book, so to speak. So I think that's a great thing. I think he's actually going to pick up his hammer in season 2. And I hope we get to see the struggle between using the axe and the hammer. And we get to see that famous little sit down with Elias, where Elias basically tells him, as long as you don't like using it, you'll use it wiser than most people, so continue to do so. But as soon as you like it, throw it into the woods and run away. That is by no means a direct quote, but that is sort of a Cole's Notes version of the little speech that Elias gave Perrin to tell him what to do with the axe if he started liking it. So I think that there is Perrin's hammer. I think we're going to start seeing the struggle earlier on. I think we'll see it probably early in season 2, because we do know that Perrin had his axe at the end of episode 8 in season 1. So likely when he's out doing the hunt for the Horn with the Shienarans, he probably has his axe then, and he probably picks up a hammer along the way. Now, I do have to mention Matt Cawthon here, played by Donald Finn. Everyone thought Barney Harris was perfect for Matt in season 1, myself included. He was a fan favorite. Everyone loved him. From what little we've seen of Donald Finn so far, I think he's going to blow Barney Harris completely out of the water. I think he will be the absolute best version of Matt that can possibly be. I mean, I already believe he's Matt just by looking at his face here, but we've seen him in some of the teasers, we've seen some of the promotional material, we've seen interviews with him, and I think he's going to do a fantastic job. Really very cool. Now, there's some other stuff here that is going to be showcased a bit better in some of the other images we have, but I want to talk about this. So on the left-hand side of the poster, you have Nynaeve and Egwene, and they are going to be going to the White Tower in season 2 for sure. We know that. We've seen it in promotional material and pictures and things, as well as the teasers. So they're wearing novice/accepted white, because we've already seen a picture of Nynaeve in accepted white and Egwene in novice white. But the weaves that are swirling around them, notice they have color this time. In season 1, they were completely plain. They were white. They were kind of flat, and a lot of people had a lot of complaints about it because they didn't have any depth, and it seemed to be that you couldn't differentiate which weaves were which. Wind was white, earth was white, fire was white. Neat to see, but we couldn't really see it. Now, I've theorized here in the channel a lot that they're using the unreliable narrator or the inexperienced narrator trope in the show, much like it was done in the books quite often, and they're seeing it by, the other character's point of view. So an inexperienced channeler would see swirls and weaves, but they wouldn't see the intricacies behind it. They wouldn't see the actual weaving of the flows. They wouldn't see the colors. I think as the girls get trained in the second season, we're going to start seeing more and more of that, and as Rand becomes more accustomed to using the One Power as well, we'll see more and more of that. And we've already been told by Rafe Judkins and Sarah Nakamura to expect some colorful weaves in season 2. So I think these ones here, either wind or water, and that's important because it's swirling around the two women here, and women were naturally stronger in both wind and water in the book series. So I think that's what we're seeing there. Really very neat. Either way, I think we're going to see a much upgraded version of the weaves in season 2. Now, we're going to look at the weaves around Rand. Now, the weaves here are red, fire, sparkly, really beautiful. Men in the book series are traditionally stronger in earth and fire. That is not always the case. Sometimes things are flipped on its head, and sometimes women are stronger than men in certain areas, and men are stronger than women in certain areas, but that is the generalization in the book series. I think that's why they chose red weaves to go around Rand, but the weave going up in the air sort of, kind of, maybe looks a little bit like the flame-wrought sword that he really loved so much during the book series. He was so powerful, could do so much with the power, and yet he used it to make a sword to smite Trollocs with quite often. And I think that's kind of a hint at that. And I want to say that the clothes that Rand is wearing, they kind of look like dragon scales. I mean, that's kind of the vibe I get from that either way. Is it a small nod to who and what he is in the series? Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I think it looks that way. Now, a lot of people mentioned Rand's shaved head. It was mentioned on Instagram quite some time ago when Yosha Stradowski was posting pictures during the filming of season 2 where he'd shaved his head, and people were aghast at that. Why would he shave his head? Why would he do that for the show? There was thoughts of maybe he's going to be wearing a wig. Maybe there's going to be different things happening. But in the promotional material and in the teasers and stuff, we've seen him with a shaved head, and that is likely his attempt to hide his heritage as what we believe to be Aiel in the show, just because he's denying everything about being the Dragon Reborn. I think that's part of it. Again, I may be reading too much into it, but that's what I get from that. We'll probably see something like that. I suspect we'll see a scene in season 2 where he shaves his head as he's on the road on his own, or mentions it in some way, shape, or form as a way of denying who and what he is, because it's been mentioned a couple times that he looks like an Aiel man. Now, Perrin, I just have to mention how good Perrin looks. However, in this particular photo, he does not have his golden eyes. We've seen it in some of the promotional material. We've seen it in some of the teasers. So he's not quite there yet here. And I think that's on purpose. I don't think they're going to give it away in like the posters and stuff like that. But we're definitely getting Perrin golden eyes near at least mid to end of second season, according to some of the leaks and promotional materials. So that's really cool. And I kind of have to mention Moiraine. Now, Moiraine is holding a knife. She has been known in the book series to not shy away from being physical. I think she actually knifed somebody in New Spring, believe it or not. That's the prequel novel to The Wheel of Time. However, it's not something that is normally associated with Moiraine. And a lot of people have kind of complained that, it's sort of them trying to make her a little bit more badass, so to speak, for the show. And I don't think that's the way it is. I think that she has genuinely lost, or thinks she's lost, her ability to channel, because she was shielded at the end of episode 8 of season 1. And she did use, I believe, this exact same knife or something very similar held to Rand's throat at that in that episode, kind of warning Ashamael that if he happens to do anything, she will take him out. And I think that's just her belt knife, and I think she's probably going to use it a couple of times in season 2 until she gets her powers back. And will she get her powers back? I think likely. I think right now, with Rosamund Pike being the main character of the show, being the most bankable actress or actor on the show, the most common household name, definitely she'll get her powers back, and she'll be just as strong as she was in season 1, if not stronger and much cooler. Now, there are two little tidbits on either side of the bottom. This particular one seems to showcase Guy Roberts in the extreme foreground fighting a Shan Chan soldier. So that's Uno fighting a Shan Chan soldier, and Shan Chan's soldiers in the background gathering other people up. Now, this is a direct pull, or direct frame pull, from the teaser. It is almost exactly the same. I don't know if they took that or an artist rendered it. Either way, there was a scene like that in the teaser. So at some point or another, we're going to see the Shienarans fighting Shan Chan as well as White Cloaks. We've seen all of that in the teasers and the promotional materials. So pretty excited to see that. And it's no big stretch to think that they're going to showcase that here, because the Shan Chan, I think, and the White Cloaks, but mostly the Shan Chan, will be the big bads of season 2 and beyond. I think they're going to beef them up quite a bit for the show, because they kind of disappeared for a while in the books, and they were used as an adversary when it was convenient. But I think they're going to be always there in the show. So this particular poster, wide shot here, I think we're likely looking at, you see the mountains on the left and the right hand side and the bottom. That is likely the waste. I think we're seeing a vision of the waste, and the mountains on the right here on this photo, somebody had mentioned on Twitter, and I forget who it was, and I do completely apologize. I tried to go back and find the tweet, and I couldn't. If it was you and you're happy to watch this video, comment down below. I'll definitely give you credit in the description. Once you add a few filters to that particular mountain, the veins of gold kind of pop up. And we know we're getting Avienda in season 2. We know we're definitely getting Elaine Tracan in season 2. And Min's already involved in the show. So it's one of those small little, maybe very specific Easter eggs, or could be a fan and myself and anyone else out there reading too much into it, but really very neat. Now, the last thing I want to talk about in this particular photo is the big circle behind everyone here. Now, there's been a whole bunch of talk about this online, a whole bunch of theories kind of going out there about what it could be, and I have two thoughts on this. My first thought is it could be a seal, could be one of the seals, because we've seen at the end of the first season when Rand fought a Shamael, or the Dark One, the seal kind of cracked underneath them. And we counted the cracks at the time. We theorized it could be a crack for each Forsaken. It could be all kinds of different things. We're not really entirely sure. Are the seals going to be all giant placeholders like they were in the first season, where like a big floor, like a marble cutout on the floor? We're not sure. We don't know if they're going to be that big, or if they're going to be small, or they're going to be different, if they're going to be viewed differently in the show. But if this seal happens to be in the waist, which they could do in the show, since we know they're going to Roidian or they're going to go to Falma, and it does have that sort of color and aesthetic we've seen in the teasers, this could be for the seal. And the different textures along the sides that you see just above Nynaeve and Perrin's head could be indicative of cracks. Possible. But what I think is more likely, and this is my guess, is that those things on the sides are mountains. In behind them is the actual waist, and they're covering up something important that's in behind all of the characters. Perhaps one of the Seps, one of the Aiel, maybe Roidian itself. One of those things that they're going to see in the waist, because it's important to the second season, but it's not something that they're going to want to use totally in the promotional material, because it could ruin certain things. Just like in the first season, they kept the fact that Rand was the dragon quiet until much later on in the episodes. They didn't talk about it much. They talked about the 5 Ta'veren, different things like that, to try to hide it. I think they're going to do the same thing with the Aiel, Roidian, People of the Dragon, the whole 9 yards in the second season. I think it'll be sort of a mystery until near the very end. And maybe this is just a little hint at it, because it looks like mountains, or it looks like rock formations and sand or desert above them. Or it could be complete stretch. It could be something completely different. I want to hear your folks' thoughts on what you think it could be in behind them. Either way, an absolutely beautiful poster, much better than the one we got for season 1 like we saw earlier. I am very happy with this one, and I can't wait to see what the next couple of weeks have in store for us, because there is a ton, an absolute ton of official, real, sanctioned Amazon and Sony news coming about the Wheel of Time over the next couple of weeks, and I'm going to make a video on every single little tidbit. I'm going to cover the trailer in depth. We'll do breakdowns. We'll talk about it quite a bit here on the channel. I'm going to cover any Q&As or anything that may happen at San Diego Comic-Con. If the writer's strike and the SAG strike happen to happen at the same time, maybe we won't see so much there, but either way, I'm going to be covering everything that's out there, so you don't have to worry about missing much. You'll be right here on the channel. Now, thank you so very much for sticking with me here to the very end, and here's to many more.